So I do this thing when I talk to anybody. It doesn't matter who it is. I immediately go into the conversation, putting them on a higher pedestal. And I'm aware of this when that happens, and I've been pretty good about mitigating that sense of shame that I feel for not measuring up to this person and their accomplishments in my mind. But it's so deep rooted in something that I'm currently actively working on, and it's just going to have to be dealt with through exposure and mindfulness, right? But in the meantime, as I'm going into a conversation presently, I'll be able to keep that comparison at bay for the most part. And then I sort of, like an hour, even a half hour into it or whatever, for really talking, I begin to like trip up and get a little wonky and falter a bit. And sometimes I'll be, the anxiety will catch up to me and they'll say something that old me would have considered very intimidating, and that shadow of my old self still kind of lingers and replaces my more evolved thoughts, I guess, my more compassionate way of thinking, and my body just shuts down. It freezes. Fight or flight or freeze, right? Always number 3. So that's something that happened today. I don't think the other person even noticed it. They're not even aware that this is going on internally. So I'm not gonna bring it up. I don't know, maybe I should. Maybe like, hey man, I'm kind of intimidated by you. So sorry if I'm a little weird. It's something I'm working on. Just thought you should know. Is that a weird thing to bring up? Is that too much pressure to put on the other person? I don't know. It's something that I can kind of laugh about, but it is very, it elicits a lot of memories and a lot of discomfort, shame, and low self-esteem, and it's sad. It's sad when that kind of pops up. It's like I'm triggering my inner child that's hurt. And I see that now, and I see it for what it is, and it makes me want to cry a little bit. But I'm almost separate now from that person in a way, but never entirely. It's a bizarre thing to witness, because this is the first time, honestly, that I've made such consistent progress and a very determined and concerted effort to change with a positive mindset, not one that is fueled by dirty fuel, I guess. You could say there's a concept. I listened to this podcast, Shrink for the Shy Guy by Dr. Aziz, and he has this concept of fueling the change in your life that you want to make with clean or dirty fuel. Dirty fuel meaning like you beat yourself up into action, or you let the guilt get so oppressive that you finally have to do something. And that's just not a sustainable fuel. It breaks down the entire machine, So I've been very aware of how I choose to motivate myself and where that comes from. If it's a place of compassion and understanding, or fear, shame, guilt, anxiety, what have you, and sometimes it's hard to tease that apart, but you know yourself better than you think, And for me, I make pretty quick work of that, and ultimately trusting myself to guide myself in that way and reparent myself, frankly. I've kind of assumed in my head this motherly role, this almost an aunt even, or a bigger sister, right? Just like this guiding figure that is, in my mind, totally confident, has been through it before, knows where you need to go, knows how to get you there, knows what words you need to hear, and how to comfort you when you fall short sometimes, inevitably. And so I've assumed this sort of like maternal role for myself, and even to the point where sometimes I will pep talk myself out loud and have a conversation between the two, the child me and adult capable me, caretaker. It feels a bit ridiculous sometimes, especially when I speak it aloud, but yeah, it's been effective so far, and I think that's one of the biggest things, is reparenting and just understanding how you are fueling your motivations. I guess I'm not sure how I went off track there, I think, but so I try to bring that with me with any sort of like discomfort that I'm anticipating I'll be going through, right? So I make sure that I'm primed to be in that caretaker mode or adjacent when I'm in a stressful or anxious situation that I don't have that much practice with, like socializing. Just be nice to yourself, man. Don't be a dick. And I guess that's all I have for tonight. It's late. It's 10:30, and I cheated. I've been watching this short documentary about Rob Greenfield, the guy who grows 100% of his own food and lives out this lady's backyard in Orlando, Florida, rent-free in exchange for building her dream garden, her kitchen garden, you know. And the dude's awesome. I'll link it below if you're interested. It's free on YouTube. It's French though, but he added subtitles just so people like me can watch it. Really cool dude. Very inspiring. Definitely super aligned with his values. On the extreme end though, but that's intentional. He's trying to incite public opinion and get people thinking about this topic, and and yeah, you gotta be a little crazy to get that attention. I'm gonna stick with my routine even though it's the weekend, quote unquote. There's no weekend in quarantine times. Who am I kidding? I'm unemployed. And that's okay. God damn it. Self-care never stops. It's exhausting. Good night.